Hello, this is a continuation of Unfortunately for Society, Izuku is a Khanivore. Written by LouieTheDragon. Read by Stick. Chapter 15. I'm Not Special, Unique. Summary. Izuku goes further on his spree than he has before, taking out a more well-known hero. There was the sound of heels echoing through the alleyway. A woman in her mid-20s was walking home from work, taking an often-used shortcut back to her home. It was an effective way to shake off reporters and paparazzi. Even as dangerous as the alley was late at night, Uami was a hero. It was nothing she couldn't handle. She had made her way to the higher ranks in a short amount of time, but even she needed her space. Since she was so high up in the rankings, that clearance allowed her to know about the Soul Stealer case. That being said, she was briefed on the places where the serial killer frequented. Her influence was dwindling due to the lack of action when it came to capturing villains. She didn't know why it was so hard to take down this one villain. It was unreasonable that it had taken the police this long to piece things together. So that was the reason Uami was a little annoyed when a supposed fan came up to her to ask for her autograph. He was a cute little thing. Fluffy black hair and purple eyes made for an adorable kid. She may have been in a bad mood, but who was she to turn down the opportunity for an autograph? That was her mistake. The boy stared up at her. He wasn't particularly short, but enough that he had to incline his head a little to look her in the eyes. Uami had done her part, so she was a little annoyed when she didn't at least get a thank you from the child. The child merely tilted his head and continued to stare at her before speaking. Uami-san, you know it's dangerous to walk around alone. Isn't there a serial killer on the loose? A tick appeared on her forehead. This child assumed she was helpless, even though she was a hero? She didn't give the child the satisfaction of an answer, yet there was something off about a sentence with one of the things he said. It took her a moment to realize, but when she did, her veins turned to ice. No, it can't be. Uami's body responded slower than her mind. The Soul Stealer? She couldn't believe it. This child? The boy looked thoughtful. Oh, is that what they're calling me now? His tentative look turned into more of a smirk. Without warning, he punched her sternum, which knocked the breath out of her chest and toppled her in one go. Such a shame, the monster in human skin said, as she struggled to catch her breath and keep her eyes open. So much power, and yet... He grabbed the withering snakes on the hero's head, smiling as she screamed out in pain. It's all wasted on some fame-hungry whore who couldn't make it in modeling. Uwani Sayaka. She tried to get up and level out her disadvantage. He caught her by surprise, that's it. But she knew it was a lost cause, especially as he ripped her precious snakes from her head, eliciting an agonized scream from her. This was quickly shut up by the iron grip on her neck. Yet, she still remained crying. She probably should have listened to whatever her analysis department said about this killer. They were supposed to be good at that kind of stuff, right? Then she would have known something about this killer's mannerisms. Little did she know, due to her inattention, that there was nothing known about the mannerisms of the Soul Stealer. The burning pain that radiated through her skull did nothing to help do something about the fight-or-flight instincts rearing up in her. She was in no position to move, since her neck was being held down. Izuku's eyes gleamed with hunger and glee. He loved the point where his victims realized that there was no way out. With this particular hero, he decided that he wanted to keep her head intact. Perhaps as a way to debut? He saw as she struggled to keep her eyes open. Oh, did you want some help with that? Her face scrunched up with confusion, even as he laughed. Your eyes, silly. He gave no time for comprehension, as he shook his knee to her neck, so that he could have both hands free. Quicklash cupped her face with fox gentleness, before taking both his thumb and forefinger and pinching it at her eyelid. He can feel her panic under him, but he ignored it as he ripped out her right eyelid, making her unable to close that eye. Regardless of the pressure on Uabami's neck, she let out a gargled shriek. Now that at least one of her eyes was open, permanently, he let her watch as he transformed. From the knee on her neck, he switched to a shoe, and then she soon learned that it wasn't a shoe at all, but an illusion. Jagged talons took their place and gripped her neck like a hand would. The creature that stood before her was aptly named, in her opinion. There was nothing she can do against this monstrous creature. Her tears mixed with her blood, and the salt burned. The last thing she saw before she died was rows upon rows of teeth that tore open her chest and caused blood to rush through the tightness that was her seized throat. It gargled out of her mouth, and she fell into unconsciousness. She would never wake up. Quicklash was delighted at the power that coursed through his veins because of the hero's heart. He decided to thank her, of course. It was only fair. He put more pressure on her neck, which allowed him to easily rip her head from her body. He wasn't that far from a flagpole in the middle of a popular park. He stuck her head on it like a pike, and in her blood wrote on the ground, "What a lovely name you all gave me. I might as well use it." Satisfied, he slunk into the shadows and disappeared.